Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. So, guys, did not intend to go live tonight, and I know it's late for you East Coasters, but Cindy said, I think you should go. So we did.
Well, I think we like to hear your opinion on what's going on. Like, what are your thoughts? How do you think this is going to progress? How did it progress? I mean, things like that.
Well, interesting. Like today, this morning, getting up, it was all about exactly this. Just knowing that we're really close to something major starting. And so, we did a video today on 2020, the year of rapid escalation. And I was talking also about the Libyan conflict, about Turkey sending troops down into Libya, the possibility that Egypt and Syria are both going to send troops into Libya. And then over here, we talked about the connection of, how the Roman Empire has never stopped. It's never stopped. And, I know most people can't understand that, but what we have now is still an extension of Rome. And really, it traces back to the Sumerians, and it traces back to those from, whom the heavens came. And, no, they're not just spirit type negative demonic beings. These are actual beings of flesh and blood, and have been basically ruling the planet at least for 5,000 years. And so, in this first video today, what do DC, London, and Vatican have in common? Well, they're part of that legacy, and they're all way above the law. And what we're seeing happen now, over in, it happened in Iraq, happened on the way to Baghdad airport. So, what we're talking about is the fact that Iranian forces commander, this gentleman here, he just mocked President Trump like a day ago, saying Iran will destroy all that you possessed. But, in reality, who is the bully? Well, everybody has to make their own decisions, because he's dead now. So he was taken out. And, it's a big thing. Trump orders attack that kills Iranian general Qasem Soleimani and other military officials in Baghdad as well. This was huge. And, I gotta say, I recognize that Fox News, CNN, and, MSNBC, they're mainstream, so you don't really expect to get a good, solid opinion on things. But the young gentleman on the left just told Tucker, really, I was really impressed with what he said. He just basically said, this is huge. And, it's a major, major escalation. And he basically was talking about the fact that it's going to be kids his age, male and female, in our armed forces that now, their lives are going to be in danger, as this is a huge escalation.
Yeah, and I think it's just possibly going to escalate a little bit more. I wanted to try to keep like the fear tone level down, because I do believe we have the power to feed this, just like we have the power to bring rain and move storms and stuff like this. We have the power to help level this, I think.
Yeah, and you can't make you can't make everybody happy. And so, there's a lot of subjects we've been bringing up, and I just feel that they have to be brought up. And, I feel like not only myself, but many other YouTubers are on borrowed time, because I know our time to speak on YouTube is coming to an end. Just because of what we talk about. Like I saw Mr. MBB today telling people, check and make sure you were subscribed, because people are getting unsubscribed, and his numbers are going backwards every day now too, showing he's losing subscribers left and right, as are so many people, Steve Olson and just so many other people in our group, that are trying to just bring you guys what we see as the truth, really.
We are, when we see things and we get a sense that this is real, this is true, we want to get it to as many people as possible. And I do believe, because it's real and true, They are really whacking down the numbers and trying to make sure that the word doesn't get out to keep everything mainstream like they like it and under control.
But as we had said before, we're on BitChute and Bradian as well, because as we lose our ability to speak freely over here, more and more people are going over there, and the numbers are going up over there, though you can't make money there like you can make here. But I personally don't care if I'm homeless. I really, really don't care if I'm homeless. I'll keep speaking what I feel is the truth to the end. And sometimes when you talk about things that might irritate people, then they make comments, and say, oh, well, you're always asking people for donations at Patreon and Ko-Fi. Everybody does that, but I haven't done any sort of advertising sponsorship or anything like that because it's so detestable to me. So, there's some channels I love, but it's like the first 5-10 minutes is just, buy Bitcoin, buy Noble Gold, right, buy this, buy that. And I don't want to go that route. And, it doesn't really matter to me because, it's all about getting out your truth, awakening up as many people as possible to all the possibilities in this world. Like just simply the fact that we could heal ourselves simply by fasting, energy work, things like that actually work. And you could heal yourselves with herbs instead of taking these pharmaceuticals that are going to, end up causing 5 more problems, and just constantly escalating. So you're on more and more drugs, more and more medications, more and more in debt to the system. It's all about escaping the matrix. So, when they eventually shut our voices all down, at least we did our best to wake up as many people as possible. And, we'll survive. And if we don't, then we don't. I mean, it's no big deal. We've done this before. I truly believe we lived before. So to me, I just view it as no big deal. You come here with a purpose and you fulfill that purpose. And that's the bottom line.
It is. And, we don't just do the research. We actually do the duty. Like if we're going through diets and we're looking at fasting, we're looking at vitamins, everything that we report, we sit here, we do our due diligence and get it out there. And then strangely enough, it gets demonetized. And we just want to get you guys the information and our take on it.
And even, not even talking about the demonetization, but, like there was one comment today because the first 2 things were kind of war related. You're, being a fearmonger. No, I'm not being a fearmonger. It's because I felt like something major is right on the precipice. Mm-hmm. So, do you want to know if there's another 9/11 coming? I would want to know, and that's the energy that's in the air. This is basically 1914 all over again. Some driver just went down the wrong street, and we know what happened after that. And if you don't, then shame on you, because you should know your history. And people should know what has happened before will happen again, time and time again. And unfortunately, many people have their heads totally in the sand.
And this is a really, really curious time because we have a very interesting planetary alignment that could encourage such a thing. And it seems like they use the planetary alignments to maybe give a little momentum to certain things to have them happen. But it doesn't just go due to big things. It's also within us. It starts within us. We are kind of having our own personal wars inside of us, as above, so below. So it all sort of moves together, like whatever you were dealing with 18 and a half years ago, which was right around 9/11, people are going to be dealing with now. So they're using this alignment, in my humble opinion, to start stuff.
Well, you told me, because she's so into Vedic astrology. She's really into it. So she's constantly studying it, going around listening to all sorts of things on it and learning. And you told me that this is like a bad alignment, is what you said. And you said things can really spiral out of control quickly.
Mm-hmm. It's a frequency that's being put out there, and planets do that. And the last time we had this alignment was right around 9/11. And, 18 and a half years prior to that, we had this other alignment. And it seems pretty consistent that every 18 and a half years, something similar like this happens.
Yeah, so you did that, and you were talking about that, and then, I have a habit of doing cards in the morning to get guidance, and so I did cards, and they were talking about the same sort of thing, then listening to you, And then starting to go through the news and seeing what's happening, it was just hitting me like, we're really on the precipice. We're feeling this. We're really close to something major. And, the one thing that I don't want people to forget is all this was predicted. And in many ways as well. So this is rebuilding America's defenses. I referenced it in the second video today. And so this is the project for a new American century. You can see, look at the date, September 2000, wow. Right? Yeah. And this was actually coming from something that was done in 1997, but it started in 1997. But here you have the actual PDF, which, I'll end up linking this. I've linked this probably in 15 to 20 videos at least, because it talks all about this, that the process of transformation, even if it brings revolutionary change, is likely to be a long one, absent some catastrophic and catalyzing event like a new Pearl Harbor. This is out of that PDF, page 51. And so, this was released. This was put together in 1997, and it was released to the public 1 year before 9/11. And, they were calling for a new Pearl Harbor. Who was the project for a new American century? It was all these guys. It was the Bush administration, the neocons. So all you guys that are pointing your fingers towards the left, recognize that both sides are in on this. Both sides. And, these guys, they go have golf games with each other. They go party afterwards. We've seen Michelle Obama like gushing all over George and kissing him, and like they're great friends, or Michelle or Michael.
And they probably are great friends, Michelle, Michael, and those guys.
Yeah, so that's the thing. We get caught in this left-right paradigm, but really, the puppet masters are pulling both sides. And, these guys recognize that in many cases, they're nothing but actors. Somebody made a great comment, and they said the good-looking actors go to Hollywood, the bad ones, the ugly ones go to D.C.
Right? Yeah, that's a good joke. I like that one.
But it's accurate. It really, really is accurate. And, I knew somebody that was really big into Chicago politics and knew Obama, and knew that Obama is not straight. He is not straight, and they knew it a long time ago. But it's hush-hush, of course. All these things are hush-hush. And so, body counts around certain names, Clinton, is real. It really is real. But there's body accounts around other names as well. Because these people all think they're above the law, and their backers make them above the law. That's the bottom line. And so going back to that PNAC document, there was listed, and General Wesley Clark came right out in public and talked about it, that there was a whole bunch of countries that we have to control in order to secure, American quote unquote dominance in the 21st century. And in that list was Afghanistan, which obviously we know what happened. Iraq, we know what happened. There was Sudan and Somalia, which, we have intervened with militarily, and, we're still stationed in there, by the way, as well. There was Syria, which didn't go the way they wanted it to go, and it's kind of in a stalemate mode right now. Russia's still controlling that. And there was Iran. And so, they've always wanted this. So, hey, One Mountain Cat 1, I'm going to make a video on that. Israel. Did you ever notice, if you break down Israel, it actually says Is-Ra-El. The semantics and things, we are so brainwashed as a society. Most people don't have a clue what's going on. So, this is something that was scheduled to happen back in 1997. It's taken them a little bit longer than they expected, but we are at that go point now.
Yeah, it looks like it's a little disconcerting, but we wanted to come on and talk to you guys about it because it's all over the place. It's just all over the place. It's a little bit concerning.
Yeah, and as I said, because it feels like we're coming to the end, honestly, of some things. Yeah. And I think that freedom of speech is coming to an end. That's one of the things that's going to be going bye-bye. Can you imagine if we did have a nuclear 9/11? What the lockdown on that would be like? What new Patriot Act would be enacted? Well, I mean, honestly, it would be martial law 24/7, 365.
Well, yeah, they can take our land, they can take our animals, they can take our home, they can put us to work, and that all came from 9/11. Is that right?
Yeah, and James Broom is bringing up the price of gas should not go up because the fact of the matter is the U.S. has become the largest producer in the world. Yeah, thank you, fracking. And let me see if I can find it. Let's go there now. Oil jumps after U.S. strike kills top Iranian commander in Iraq because, again, it's about controlling the resources, controlling the money flow, making the super rich incredibly mega rich and the rest of us poor. As we were talking about, we were looking at comparisons today from the Roman Empire and this American Empire, which really is an extension of the British Empire. The British Empire never stopped either, by the way. The royal family's still there, by the way. Whether they are wearing their human masks or letting their, forked tongues go flapping in the air.
Totally. Did my eyes do that again?
Right, exactly. Yeah. I didn't show them that video yet. I didn't do that video yet, but
my scales showing.
I thought David Icke was crazy when I first listened to him, but I don't anymore. But again, it's money and it's resources, and who's going to pay for all this? Well, obviously you and I are going to pay for it, and somebody else really early on made a connection with what's happening in Virginia. And Cindy was like, what's a connection? And I was like, but there is a connection. Do you guys get what I'm talking about with that? You remember what's happening in Virginia now. It's basically Second Amendment is going bye-bye. Well, if we're about to get into a war that will lead to World War III, and a lot of people are waking up, more people every day, then a lot of people are going to be like, hell no, and so you don't want those people being able to defend themselves or actually cause problems.
Yeah, I guess you would want to break it down from within. But, have they actually gone into a home and done this yet, though?
Not that I know of yet. And William Armstrong's asking UN and Virginia. Yeah, we're talking about the whole UN situation, the whole Virginia situation. And, it's not a good situation because it's not just there. It's picking up elsewhere. And, I recognize that guns kill, but, I also recognize that, so do ideologies. Yeah. Most definitely. Ideologies kill. And, the problem is I still fear more than anything is Big Brother. I mean, and I've said to you guys before, I watch the earth changes all the time. And we have to be concerned with that, most definitely. And as a country, as a world, we should be moving forward and trying to alleviate all the issues and save all these people that are starving. As we talked about, 5.5 million people in southern Sudan are facing starvation, but $270 million could alleviate that. So why not divert a teeny part of our military budget and take care of that? I'm all good with that. You want me to pay $10 extra for my taxes? I'll do that for that. Yeah. But not to send other people off to war for the, corporations' profits.
It's disgusting what they do, and I think this is another thing where we can have like a mental impact. If we could see those numbers change around and see hungry people being fed instead of the pictures they give us, let's make our own pictures and send that energy out into the universe and maybe hopefully change a couple things.
Yeah, when you get down to it, again, it's the average person. They don't want war. I don't think the average person ever wants war. It's the greedy people at the top that want war. They're the ones with the ego trip that are just trying to say, I am the greatest of all time and my empire is going to be the greatest of all time. Where the average person is like, I just want to get to Friday and have happy hour and just enjoy Sunday watching football and maybe cook out on Saturday. That's all I want to be happy.
Yeah, and it's the same way over there too. Like over in the East, if people are exactly like us, they don't want this war. They don't want this stuff. All they do just like live for happy hour, get through your day, do what you got to do and then be happy. But you know what? That doesn't pay any bills.
You see, a hunter is saying London has the strongest gun laws, which they do. So they use knives and death rate worse than New York. I haven't checked into the stats, but you do see those knife attacks and stuff over there. And it just makes me feel a little bit naked. The thought of not being able to be armed, and I'm a pacifist. But at the same time, since I was, I think, 16, when I was 16, I got my first rifle, even though I'm a pacifist. I mean, I don't go hunting, but I will go target shooting, So it's like, I'm a pacifist, but I'm not going to be stupid.
Right. You don't want to walk around and pretend that nothing is going on. Like, I think I saw someone may have been a little bit sad that said we're doing fear porn in here, but this is a big deal. This isn't something like really small. If we wanted to do fear porn, believe me, there's plenty of stuff out there we could come on and just make anything out of nothing. But this is a really, really kind of important thing that should be talked about.
It is. It is most definitely. And as I've said, my mentality is more libertarian because I think that we should be free to make our own judgments socially on things. I don't like Big Brother. I hate Big Brother. It's, to me, the most scary entity in the world. Big government makes it easy for the few to control the many. It's that simple. It's that simple. The bigger the government, the easier it is for the few to control the many. And so, like the libertarian idea is basically minimal, absolute minimal federal government. Barely existent, just there, so that if we ever really were invaded, we would have a system in place to band together and to work together to repel that invasion. And also, maybe trade agreements between the states, things like that, all the things we see over in Europe to a degree. But what has happened is the government has gotten so big that the government only cares about the government. It doesn't care about the people at all.
No. We are pawns. They do need us, but they need us not for any particular thing other than to generate, food and money and gold for them and do things for them. So we're just sort of their little slaves. So they need us to that point, but we're also expendable to them.
Most definitely. And so like Miss Dragon, who has been with us, I think since the first couple of thousand subscribers, she says, I teach the 8-year-old, war is bad, guns are good. I use a cougar as an example. No gun, the cougar will kill you. Once in a while, we get them in town. And, I've always been somebody, I want to be out in the woods. I want to be out in the middle of nowhere. And there's some areas in South Carolina where I've been hiking. And I told Cindy, if we were where we are now and it was down there, because there could be gators, there could be wild boar, there could be coyotes, packs of coyotes. A good friend of mine, thought that there was a pack of coyote in broad daylight came onto his farm, and this is down in South Carolina, and he was working on fixing the second floor barn door, so he was up on a ladder, and they were circling him, and he was so surprised. He was yelling at them to scat, and they weren't, and so luckily he had a gun. He shot it in the air, and they went and ran off. Luckily, he was on the on the ladder too. So like I told Cindy, I said, if we were in this area there, I would make sure I had a gun on me, because there's all sorts of stuff that you could run into. And actually in South Carolina, even if you don't have a concealed carry, which when I lived in South Carolina I did have, you're still allowed to carry in places like that in the national forests.
I can hardly wait to see my first alligator.
Oh, it's common.
So what's the difference, really quick, what's the difference between an alligator and a crocodile?
Is this the joke?
Yeah.
You oh gosh. Okay, well all right, you go.
One says see you later, the other says after a while.
There you go. But yeah, crocs are way more aggressive and their teeth are different. They have a little bit more of an underbite, a little bit more of a narrow nose. So yeah, you won't find them in Florida unless you're getting close to the Everglades. And also you'll find crocs in the saltwater more. And they're the ones you got to watch out for is the crocs.
Oh, it's going to be exciting. So Michael's going to get pictures of me when I see my first alligator or crocodile, whatever I see, we'll post it. It'll be fun.
And I told her how I've been on like trails and walked around the corner and had one sitting in the river right next to me about 5 feet away from me. If you're going to be out there in the woods, you're going to find them and they're going to get fairly close to you. So you got to just be aware.
We got to keep the dogs on a leash, he says. He says, oh.
Well, White Porcelain says, LOL, Cindy, start stand-up comedy.
Yeah, right. I know. I love that joke. It's super cute.
But, getting back to what we're seeing, it might not be over. This is Samuel Cardillo. Sources are telling me that multiple countries, including Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, have started to take adequate defensive posture in preparation of whatever outcome happens. And so this is a tweet, and that's what we are starting to see come in from people out there. And this is out of Babak Tagvai. Okay. And this is breaking U.S. Marine Corps FA-18 C and Ds from Ahmad Al-Jaber in Kuwait and U.S. Air Force F-15Es from Muwafi Al-Sati Air Force Base in Jordan are now flying over Iraq, ready to carry out strikes as well. So, it's not even over. It might not even be over. That might be phase one and something that's a multi-pronged, multifaceted attack.
Yeah, I'm watching this unfold because I thank God you're here, because I don't keep up on any of these things, these outlines, but you're really well versed. You could hang your hat understanding how this works, and that's why I thought it was important to get you on here so you could explain more of this.
Well, thank you, my dear. And JJ Gator says, gators, you don't have to worry about so much. It's the wild boar, and honestly, it is. Believe me, you don't want to run into a wild boar if you're down in the south. And I've had them really close to me too, and the little babies are adorable. I mean, they really are adorable.
Cute, and like cute little rattlesnakes here.
Yeah, I've walked about 3 feet from a rattler before too. But yeah, as you know, my fear is of heights, but I'm getting better with it.
You are. He is, you guys. He's climbing mountains. He's doing really, really good. You'd be so proud of him.
Thank you. And we were practicing our spinning hook kicks and spinning crescent kicks tonight and working on that as well. And I'll be 55 this year, but I can still do a jump spinning crescent kick and hit head level.
He's good, you guys. He's really good. Maybe I'm telling him we should start up a behind the scenes tier level for Patreon so people can see how goofy we are,
We have fun. We most definitely have fun. So, this is escalating, guys. It's escalating, but it's all planned. We're watching what we know is a pre-planned show happen. This is out of RT. And you want to know what else is really funny? Is the fact that the media could not be played on RT. I've run into this time and time and time again, where I want to go and play a video from RT, and they won't allow me. And even just like links and stuff, they're not coming through. But if I jump over to Internet Explorer, I could play the video, and I could see it.
Yeah, I don't know why that is, but like certain things are getting blocked on certain areas of the internet. So, I mean, things are changing, things are coming down, and I always like to look at the positive, but sometimes a duck's a duck, and this doesn't look good.
Yeah, the bottom line is, Google is Alphabet, and obviously they control and own YouTube. They own many other things, and as many people know, Google, Gmail, we're talking the federal government. Mm-hmm. That's who this really is. And so, there's certain websites that they don't want you watching. They don't want you going to RT. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you look at RT on some venues and it pops up with saying this is, media from Russia, Russian state-backed,
Yeah, it says, "Oh, you shouldn't leave this website," or there's some kind of warning. It's just silly.
Yeah, as GZBBB 1866 says, they're funded by the Russian government. We know, yeah, we definitely do. The sad part is that, obviously there's propaganda on both sides. Absolutely. Both sides are always trying to justify themselves to the public, to the world, so that we'll get behind them. But we recognize, they're all after their own ego trip. And that's part of what I was bringing up with Erdogan, because this guy could be a major player in history. He has visions of himself being the next, Grand Sultan of the revived Ottoman Empire. And he does. I mean, he does. And so he's kind of switched allegiances from NATO, which Turkey is a part of NATO. We have military bases in Turkey. And yet, they're buying the weaponry from Russia. But then they've also been getting closer and closer to Russia and China. China, by the way, is owning more of Africa every day. There's, David Devine is, he's actually a pretty damn good friend. He's a really good guy, and I respect him a ton. This is a really smart man, David Devine. As we just lost 100 people instantaneously. Did you see that?
Oh, wow, we did. Holy wow.
We went from 265 to 160.
Wow. Oh my gosh, how does that happen?
Well, because we mentioned Google being Gmail being part of the government.
I'm so glad you're here to answer my own questions for me.
Yeah, wow. So yeah, no, I love David. David is great, and David, we've talked more since the interview he did with me.
He's 260. Oh,
it just went back up to 259. That was crazy. That was crazy. We caught him at it, and they just bumped it back up.
Oh wow.
All right, guys, just so you know, Google is the government. It is the government, and there we go. We said it. And we're talking about David Devine and just how awesome he is, because he's a really good guy. And you know what? He's really knowledgeable. He's one of the best sources out there. Adapt 2030. Super good guy. And, I don't know why I went off on David. Just probably because we were talking right before we jumped on this live. And, 262, 259.
People and you got distracted.
That was incredible. We watched 100 people disappear and they come right back.
Yeah.
That was their way of telling us.
About Google.
What? Okay. So yeah, Wake Up says they removed Texas News Studio live feed for reporting this. That is so. And Rosemary's the one that sent me that in the first place about Texas Live as well. And we'll be in Texas in probably less than a week. And that's a big step for us. And she's shaking her head. Cindy's shaking her head like, oh shit. Excuse me, I swore. I didn't mean to do that. I do every now and then. Very rarely, but every now and then. So we will be in Texas. We just lost 50, and now we just gained like 55. Wow. They are playing with the numbers. Don't you love that?
Oh my gosh, this is absolutely crazy. I'm floored.
Nuclear quantum lasers in the house. We love you, dude. We love you.
Yes.
We love you. And we love White Porcelain. We love James Broom. We love Crispy. We love Rosemary. Rosemary, you're really dear to me. You've been just awesome. And we are praying for your safety. And let's not forget everybody going on in Australia. Yeah. What's happening in Australia is just atrocious. And so I did a video saying, Indonesia comes right out saying they're going to try to take care of the floods by doing weather modification, weather control. Why wasn't that done in Australia and in California? And then I had some people say, well, duh, it's the weather modification that's causing the fires. And it's like, well, I'm not supposed to come out and say that because we could go bye-bye. But, that could be part of it, most definitely.
Yeah, so if you don't see us tomorrow, we do have the second channel on EE Arts, and we're probably going to start a third channel, we're thinking, for the RV, or maybe we'll just move the RV to EE Arts. I don't know, but we will be out there, so if we don't show up tomorrow, you guys, please look for us.
So, hello, Jay Griffin. We love you, too, and I think Sassy just deleted somebody.
Tell Art Darnell I'm super sorry.
Okay, she has her phone in her hand and just hit it by accident. Let me see if I could view it. And we can make that. No, that's good. Okay, well, we can't bring it back, but you're good, Art. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of other names. Ryan says, how you like the yellow onyx? Thank you very much, brother. We love it. And, be careful up there. There's a lot of swarming going on in Yellowstone. Ryan's up in Yellowstone area. Ryan is a great guy. He owns a really nice restaurant that in the summer I would love to go visit. Okay. And, maybe go get breakfast or lunch there.
Sounds wonderful. Let's go.
Yeah, I want to hit the whole country. I got 32 states down, 18 to go. Cindy's got about 5 down, 45 to go.
Well, not counting the ones that I drove across with you, coming over here. I didn't count those.
Yeah, because we drove across them. So she's got more. She's seen them. But we're going to. Yeah, we're definitely going to get out there. And we're going to be mobile. And I was told by a very wise woman to be mobile until 2024, and you'll know where to go then. Not that I don't think that we need to be growing our own food and stuff, because I do. But I do think, and I know, that we have some people in this family that are in really good places, and they want other people to join them if it's the right people. If you guys remember our brother Keith, Keith was always involved in our lives and everything. Just to let you know, I mean, he's gone, and we had talked about this. He's gone on to Costa Rica. There's a lot of people that are feeling like it's time to get out of the country because they're feeling like war's coming to the country. And so he packed up his family, and he's in Costa Rica now. And there's other ones, too, that have talked about that. And I don't want to be negative. I feel like we have escalations going on. I don't think we're at the ends of the world. And I still want to go back. There's so many people I want to see in Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, and on the way across as well.
Yeah, so Tammy says, I'm seriously serious. Trump tweeted something today and it's been removed. Thinking about Argentina. Yeah, there is a lot of things to do, but we still want to keep our heads about us and don't make any actions. I don't do anything like out of fear.
Yeah, and GZBBY 1866, is that like Gisby? Should I call you Gisby? I think maybe. With luck, I would move to the middle of it, LOL. And honestly, I just told Cindy again, I've had like dreams of World War III, and I've made 2 videos on it that I remember because they really haunted me and it seemed really real. And in those dreams, I was in the Southeast. I was in either Florida or somewhere between Florida and South Carolina. But I knew in the dream that there was troops landing in the Everglades area. And they weren't ours, obviously. I think they were a mix of Latin American and Chinese troops that were landing in the Everglades area and making their way up. And, clear as day, I still remember these visions, dreams, visions, clear as day. And coincidentally, all this is breaking down at a time when we are getting ready to head back to that area for probably 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, I remember you talking about those dreams. So it is kind of curious. High nuclear quantum lasers, pew, pew, pew. Yeah, I remember you talking about those dreams and vividly too. So it is really curious how we are kind of fixing to head that way.
Most definitely. And Chris P, says Red Dawn, and that's it exactly. And so the Concrete Angel, no. Somebody had said, okay, there we go. Laura Lee, did I completely miss the discussion on a general being killed? We've been jumping back and forth. So starting back off, we talked about the fact that President Trump ordered this attack, and other military officials got killed as well. And this happened in Iraq. This was at basically right on the way. It looked like it was like one of those parking garages really close to the airport. And we talked about how, this is not to be unexpected. We have here Rebuilding America's Defenses, and this is from the Project for a New American Century, published September 2000. It was actually researched and not released to the public, but researched back in 1997, put together in 1997. And this is all about, the necessity of a new Pearl Harbor in order to bring about wars that were going to happen, 7 different countries being taken over, and the 2 that have not been taken over yet are Syria and Iran. So this is not to be unexpected. This has been part of the plan going back to 1997. And, here we have the neocons, and now we have President Trump carrying it out, basically. But, it doesn't matter if it's Democrat or Republican, because they're all part of the same team. As we see here out of RT, 5 Iran-backed Iraqi militia officials and important guests killed. And this was, again, ordered by President Trump. And Pentagon says Trump directed the assassination. This is the top general. Can you imagine what it would be like if the top general in the U.S. was taken out?
Well, I was just now thinking about, we were reading a thing that said we had maybe like 7 years of no war in the last how long? I mean, we're just constantly warring.
Yeah, the U.S. has been at war like 96% of the time of its existence.
Yeah.
And many people don't recognize all of that. So over here we see how Fox News, Trump must tread carefully after airstrike that killed top Iranian general. So if you like the Iraq war, we're back with a sequel. And Iran's twice as big. Twice as strong, but we rolled through Iraq like nothing. And by themselves, they would not be able to stop this, machine. However, that's the question. Will they be alone? What's China going to do? What's Russia going to do? Because China knows conflict is coming with the U.S. And it's just a matter of time. But they are always looking long term. Mm-hmm. That is the Eastern mind. Very different than the Western mind. They're able to totally, have patience, extreme patience.
Right. And I kind of like the Eastern way. That's why I like the astrology. The Vedic astrology, because they go back, I don't know, 8,000 plus years, and it's like there's a lot more to go on with the astrology and on that direction.
Yeah, and you were talking about the Vedic astrology. I was just recapping the videos because honestly, today I felt something huge was about to happen, and that's why that's why I covered the political situation. I don't always cover the political situation, right. And only when it feels like there's something major happening, and so I just felt like I had to, and I had a couple people say, "Oh, you're fear mongering." And, because we basically talked about this, mm-hmm. the fact that 2020 is going to be the year of rapid escalation. Mm-hmm. Things are going to happen this year. I mean, there's no holding it back. And then, this going into the deeper end of it, the fact that the Roman Empire never stopped. It never stopped. Mm-hmm. It's still going to this day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's and I think they use the alignments as like a catalyst to get things started. So they pick these alignments and they go ahead and swat the hornet's nest and then let momentum take up everything else.
Most definitely, and it's interesting, this matrix that we live in, because we're given so much disinfo, not always, outright lies, but things that will lead you astray, quote unquote. And then we're given truths too, and it's right there. But the truths are not easy to see. You got to start delving deeper, and you have to get past your societal conditioning and programming. And Kenny Crowder's talking about Deborah Tavares. I haven't checked today's vid. I have subscribed to them, so I get it. But I probably have a couple hundred unread emails right now. But I totally agree. I mean, she knows the big picture, and I'm kind of surprised that she's still amongst the living. As some of us, a lot of us are going to get targeted to a much higher degree now. It's just going to keep increasing. And, I think she's given out tons of great info, really, really good info. She's most definitely put her life on the line.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who've done a lot of things, and we've had some kind of weird things happen to us around here too, because we do tell the truth and we do get the word out, and I think we're really, really fair about it. We do cover all sides, but mostly we want to talk about, taking your own power back, empowering yourself is like super, super important, especially right now.
It is. We have to take our personal power back, most definitely. It's so obvious what's going on. And so early on, I think the very first comment in the live was about how this is related to Virginia. And not a lot of people could see that it's related to Virginia. In Virginia, we're talking about the gun grab and loss of the Second Amendment. And nuclear quantum lasers. She talks about you day and night. I should be jealous of you. She loves you so much.
Oh my goodness. No, we like to say nuclear quantum lasers, pew pew pew. We do. We say it in the grocery store. It's fun.
It cracks us up laughing. And okay, where was I going?
Oh, we were talking about the parallels between Virginia and what's happening now.
And a great comment by D. Clifford. They won't reinstate the draft. Well, they're not making their numbers because people aren't jumping in. Okay, another thing, a lot of states were raising their minimum wage to $15 an hour, and we know the soldiers don't really get paid that much to actually die. They really don't. They don't get paid a lot. They don't. It's atrocious how much the politicians get paid compared to the people that actually put their lives on the line. And then they come back damaged. They come back damaged so often. How could you not? And you don't even know what's being pumped in you because they get so many shots as soon as they get put in there. They have no idea what's in all that stuff they're putting into their bodies. It's really sad. It's so screwed up. And so, if this spiraled out, they wouldn't put a draft in for an Iran war. Now, it all depends on what Russia and China does. And, is there a tit for tat? If the U.S. goes into a direct confrontation with Iran, and don't think that all this happens instantaneously. This might be breaking down. This might break down over a long period of time, and trying to keep up with some of the comments. And we love all you guys too. Mm-hmm. We thank you guys because it's a joke when videos are shown that they get 2,000 views, and yet we still get the same amount of people in the chat room. Yeah. And I didn't expect to have this many people in the chat room this late at night. When we were getting 10 to 20,000 views of videos, so we know it's simply they don't pay us for it, and they try to suppress it to make it look like we're irrelevant. But that's because they want to shut us up. And as we know, this is our own government. Unfortunately, it's very sad and very true. And so, where was I going again now?
We were still talking about Virginia.
Well, because just imagine. So, okay, maybe it does start out like this. Maybe there's a couple more escalations and then a direct conflict. We don't know at what point China would commit troops to it. If they would, we don't. Same thing with Russia. Now, what does Russia do? I mean, most likely they would probably both support them with advisors that stay on the periphery and sending them weaponry coming through. And then where do we go? Are we just hitting them with strikes, or do we put boots on the ground and actually take the country over? Well, they want to take the country over. Because that's the only way they're going to control the resources, and that's what this is all about. It's about controlling resources. Again, this goes back all the way to the Project for American Century, New American Century. It's about controlling the resources, and we're going to need to basically get rid of the rulership in Iran now and install a Western-style government that's going to be a puppet government. And then, train their police force so we don't have to do it with our soldiers. This is what the Roman Empire did, and we are an extension of that. And so if it goes down like that, and Russia and China do not interfere besides maybe supporting them financially and with weaponry, and maybe it becomes another Iraq, and that's that. If it's a line in the sand, though, where Russia and China feel they can't lose Iran and all the natural resources and the strategic location, and they feel like they're ready, because Russia has really talked a lot about this new hyper weaponry that we could not block. And if you look at Deagle, And I could dig that up, and I will dig it up because I'm not going to even monetize this. There's no way this is getting approved for monetization, so we won't monetize it. So I might as well bring Deagle up, because we are on the precipice of them trying to actually put into manifestation a great plan, quote unquote great, which according to the numbers on Deagle will lead to the loss of probably 2/3 of the American population.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that could go on here, and again, I don't want to give it too much, of the fearful energy, because the energy is already out there. The frequency is already out there, and it starts within. We're all having these internal wars right now, and strangely enough, it's escalating on up to the bigger wars, but I do think they use the planetary alignments to get these things started. It's like swatting the hornet's nest a little bit. But yeah, is this a Deagle?
Yeah, this is Deagle,
and this kind of gives me the willies. I don't really like talking about it too much, but it is out here.
Okay, and just to state right off the bat, because I've done 5 videos on this, I think, somewhere around there, and really do know the numbers. So when we look at this, 2017, the population was 327 million. It's 330 million now, a little bit over 330 million, right? What they're forecasting in 2025 is the population of the U.S. is going to be 100 million. And that's not a loss of 100 million people. That's what the population is going to be. If you do the numbers right now, if you look at the density, population density, there's 34 inhabitants a square kilometer. If you do it with 100 million people, it comes out to 10 inhabitants per square kilometer. This is what the numbers are showing. And you see the military budget in 2017 was 637 billion. It's going to be 32 billion. Do you really think President Trump or whoever comes after President Trump is going to set a military budget that's like 1/20th of what it is now? No. What's going to happen that's going to cause this? And people have asked Deagle and said, your numbers are crazy. What could possibly cause this? And they say, well, it's economic mostly. People leave because of lack of opportunity and they go elsewhere. Economic. Do you foresee 227 million Americans expatriating in the next 5 years? More than 2/3 of the population leaving the country because of the lack of economic opportunity in the next 5 years?
Well, no, and that's why I think it's so important right now that we start getting our health and we start taking our personal power back, because it looks like here that we're going to have to be able to we're going to need to depend on ourselves.
Yeah, we do. That's the bottom line. This is all part of a plan that's been planned for a very long time. A very long time. And the interesting thing, and I did a really long video going through a whole bunch of different countries, because I went through every single country and checked all the stats. And really what this is all the NATO countries and all the allies of the U.S. lose significant percentages of the population. China, Russia, and their allies don't lose anybody. If we look at China, number 2 here as far as economic power. If you look at the population, 1.4 billion 2017, 2025, 1.4 billion. Now look at their military budget, 226 billion, it goes up to 310 billion. So the military budget increases, population stays the same. Let's jump down to Russia, number 12 here. Russia's population now 142 million, then 142 million. Russia's military budget 79 billion now, 186 billion then. It's going to double. Curious. And if you look at, say, the UK, right? The United States and UK, those are 2 strong allies. 2017 population 66 million. In 2025, there will be 15 million people in the UK. 15 million. There's 66 million now, 15 million. You lose 75% of the population in the UK. 75%, do they leave because of economic conditions?
You know, who knows? I'm not sure exactly who puts these numbers out. Who does put these numbers out?
Okay, so this is Deagle. And, you know, what's interesting is to me, I think they're a CIA plant. That's my bottom line. I think I feel this is the CIA. And that's just from the research I've done. Because if you look at where they are, where they're located, it comes to a little house somewhere in California. And it's very fishy, very suspicious. But when you look at Deagle and what do they talk about? Everything military and super in depth. This is one of the best sites for everything that's going on military. You see, they talk all about weapons, new weapons and orders. Over here, German Armed Forces order Enforcer weapon system. Malaysia takes delivery of first littoral mission ship from China. Upgraded JF-17 Block 3 fighter jet makes maiden flight. They watch everything that's happening with military issues, especially military products. They're all about military products. And it's interesting because I think they're a front. Honestly, I feel like they're a front in many ways. So why are they putting these numbers out there? What are they telling us? It's almost like they have to tell us.
Yeah, I guess it could be one of those ways to get off the hook for karma, in a way, and hopefully we won't believe it. But then again, if it's all a lie, what exactly do we believe? What can we do? And that's why I just keep going back around to take back your personal power. Aw, thank you, love you too.
It's fascinating, and so now one of the things that's really interesting is. This is DEAGEL.com. And if you just change Deagle to DEAGLE, we get an important military person. Now let's see how easily we'll bring him up. I think it was Bill, if I remember right. William Deagle. Yes. Not Ministries. There was a William... There you go, Bill Deagle, Camelot. So, there was a Deagle that was a military advisor and a high-level military official. And so the thought is this actually him doing this? It's curious who's doing this, but regardless, the numbers are amazing. And it's not just that. It's the same thing with France loses again, 2/3, 3/4 of its people. Germany, about half, I think, if I'm remembering right. It goes on down. All the NATO countries lose a ton. The people that are not in NATO are fine. They don't lose anything. Canada loses a lot of people, 36 million down to 26, 10 million Canadians gone. That's a big chunk. Let's see what else. Now, the other curious thing is Latin America gains people significantly. So it's almost as if people left the U.S. because of stuff that was happening and started to head into Mexico and down into Latin America, because Latin America gains people. Spain, I believe, loses pretty big. Quite big. You go from 49 million people to 28 million. So you lose almost half. 21 million Spaniards. Where did they go? What are they talking about?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. There's a lot of things going on here, and I think, part of it is like a little bit of the fear-mongering game, or, how many people are going to pay attention to this, how many people are going to dissect it. There's a lot here. It's really curious to me. I have no idea what's going to happen. I would like to think it's, just all fake, really, but there it is. It's right there.
It is. And yeah, I was just thinking about Australia. Let's take a look at Australia. 23 million people goes down to 15 million. So 8 million people are lost. And these military budgets dropped too. Look at that, 28 billion to 2.8 billion. Almost sounds like somebody lost a war, doesn't it?
It does. We predicted it here.
All right.
Yeah.
So, jumping back to everything that's happening, oil's going to jump. This is part of what's going to happen. We are to expect that. Here you see that Soleimani's death at U.S. hands is a declaration of war. This is huge. This is absolutely huge, you guys.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal, I really don't know what to make of it, like the ins and outs and ups and downs and things like that, and that's why I'm really glad you're here. So you've explained a lot to us so that we understand that it is important, and no, it's not fear-mongering. It's something to totally pay attention to.
And nuclear quantum lasers, should I start getting jealous? I see all these I love Susies.
You don't you love Michael?
Oh, man. Gary Francis, 15 million if we're lucky. We have to do our best to stay positive. And, Tammy says Russia switched off, possibly tired of being blamed for everything. Yeah, Russia and China is going to be the big thing, because I think they're going to get the war they wanted. It feels like they're going full steam ahead. And, when Cindy did her Vedic astrological reading for this year, it was kind of saying that type of thing is going to happen.
Yeah. It's an alignment that they've given. It's creating a frequency, and it's not just for wars like this. It's for oh no, oh no, oh. But I really like him. I like my husband. Yeah, it's a frequency that's put out, and we're all going to end up facing our fears, our inner demons. Like, whatever you fear worst, you really need to start looking at that, and then don't be angry at yourself for fearing it. It's a process thing. It's something like, it's really important to actually love that part of you, love the fear, and try to understand it. Don't just brush it off, push it back, but come to an understanding. And this is like internal and external. It's a really big deal. As you can see, what's happening now, it's happening internally with all of us.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Joni. Love you too. And there's a lot of love going on here. Scratch is sending Nicole a kiss. It's beautiful. And Miss Dragon says, when people complain about the price of a gallon of gas, think of how many pints of blood were spilled. And God, I so hate the idea of another world war. I mean, it's just so atrocious. It's just it's a horrible thing to contemplate. And I don't know why anybody would go off and serve in another world war when we know this is all a corporate war. Now, don't get me wrong. Even though I could sympathize with everybody's point of view, if there were like Chinese and Russian troops coming in and shooting at us, then those of us that are armed would shoot back. Yeah, it's just that simple. We'd have to. Somebody invades your land, you gotta defend yourself as best you can.
I've started calling Michael the bully slayer, because he gets on here and he finds these people picking on other people and he exposes them. And I think that's really important, is to be armed, if not with information, at least, hang on to your gun. I hope we don't lose the channel. I should stop talking about that stuff.
Exactly. Because part of it, we understand the whole loosh aspect of things, and they want to keep us divided and keep us in fear. And we understand that there's, these puppet masters that are moving all the pieces. But what do? It's like we were talking about Braveheart too the other day.
Where he was trying to convince the crowd that what they were going to go lose their butts, but it was a really good thing.
Yeah, and when you think about it, Scotland was so brutalized by England, and eventually became part of the UK. And I've gotten these things wrong now. Okay, for those of you out there, when do you say England? When do you say Britain? And when do you say UK? Now, I understand the United Kingdom includes Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland. So when would you say Britain and when would you say England? Because I really don't know. And I'm fairly well studied on a lot of things. And I really don't know when you would say that, honestly.
Yeah, so if you guys know, please let us know, because he is really well read. It's not for lack of not reading.
Yeah, good point, Miss Dragon. As the Japanese emperor said, they'll never invade America because there's a gun behind every blade of grass. There's more guns than people. I remember reading a while ago, I think when the population was at like, I don't even know if it was at 300,000, like maybe 297 million, I should say. There was like 400 million guns. So, there's like a gun and a half almost for every American, which is an issue. And a great brother in Texas that we'll be spending some time with, who's a really wonderful guy, and he's been part of the channel for a long time. Hey, Larry, good to see you. We were talking about this the last couple of days, and he was saying, we can't be easily taken over, but at the same time, recognize the power that's out there. We've seen robots that look like Terminator. Mm-hmm. We've seen drones, and this was probably a drone strike. It was probably not a human. This was probably a drone that took out this general. And, the powers that be have weaponry that will blow our freaking minds. There's lasers mounted on satellites. We're talking about thousands. We're talking about Starlink satellites, and people seeing like 30 to 50 of them going by in the line. Soon that'll be triple because there's more going up. There's going to be 40,000 satellites going up this year alone. And think about the military applications, the possibility of crowd control. If you have lasers mounted on satellites, what are you going to do?
Well, if you're really, really healthy, hopefully you won't need to be near a crowd or where, you need any doctors or too much doctor assistance, stuff like that.
Yeah, and where was she? I was looking at it. I mean, there's, Pleiadian scientist says bad people on this earth will never change. And they're going to build this spacecraft so they go live in space. But maybe the good guys will come. They do come eventually, according to Mother Shipton, according to Hopi prophecy, that after like all this time period's over, our star brothers and sisters come down and help us put it back together. And again, the ones that are benevolent probably wouldn't step in. Really, they allow us our free will. It's the malevolent ones that will impose their will on us, and have been doing so in many people's opinion as well. And Australia has rules that'll kick your butt. I don't doubt that. Nuclear quantum lasers. When immovable meets the unstoppable, I'll surrender and kiss Susie upon her cheek.
Oh my goodness. I'm blushing.
Yes, she does. She's so cute when she blushes. Sacramento Lenny says, should we buy silver and gold? I'm somebody that doesn't like the system. I don't like the matrix. And, while I love Rex, Rex Bear over at Leak Project, I love Rex. Rex is, he's been one of my favorites for years. I just enjoy him. I think he's the funniest guy and also very well versed. And, but I'm not Rex in that, I don't think I'll ever, and I've had offers. I had people want to pay me $500, $600, $700 a month to go ahead and plug their stuff, on YouTube and try to sell gold, try to sell all this stuff. I've done enough sales. I hate sales. I hate the system. I'd rather go pick a few blueberries and live off the land now than jump back into the system. That's just me. I hate the system, so I don't want to be a part of it. Although we do have Patreon and Ko-Fi, but honestly, without that now, then we'd have to, look into jumping back in the Matrix, and then we wouldn't be doing this. Or get used to not eating and just, we could probably get close to that. One meal a day is not an issue. That's not bad at all. But we don't want to be a part of the system. But if you're getting down to it, at some point the cash won't be available. So whatever you have. I mean, and then you're looking at silver and gold. And you're also looking at real things, food itself, things that people are going to need. there's so many things people are going to need. Water for purification, food, water, obviously, different things. People are going to want to. Can you imagine a society that totally breaks down? People will be dying for any sort of energy source, anything.
They will. It'll be, somebody said bullets, the new currency. That could very well, I could see that happening really easy. There's a lot of things that could happen. And I think preparation is one of the better ideas we can do so that we don't stay in this state of fear, like what's going to happen. Just be ready for it. That's the best thing I could, bullets could be. Yeah, absolutely. Just be ready for whatever, don't go in a total fear place, because that's feeding the loosh. We don't want to feed them.
Exactly. And it's just like, it's one of those things that makes me go and read the Mahabharata again, or think about the Mahabharata, meditate on it, because that's the big message. It's like, what do we do in these type of times? And, in the Mahabharata, Krishna, who was an incarnation of Vishnu, which some equate the Krishna energy with the Christ energy, is telling Arjuna, who is faced with the problem of having to probably kill relatives on the battleground in the morning, and he can't do it. He doesn't want to even fight. He's like, I don't want to fight. I'd rather almost just die. I don't want to fight. And Krishna tells him, sometimes you have to fight. Sometimes you absolutely have to fight when evil is encroaching and going to take over everything. Sometimes you have to stand up, and it's a hard thing to, it's a hard thing to embrace when you don't want to hurt anybody.
Right. And there's that saying I've heard that, what does it take for evil to take over? And it just takes for a good man to do nothing.
Most definitely. And so, that's why Krishna, who is the preserver, basically gets Arjuna to go ahead and fill out his commitment for this life and to stop evil in its tracks. And Sacramento Lenny is saying we can make colloidal silver, which Sassy Susie does all the time.
I generate colloidal silver, drink it, feed it to the kids, grandkids. It's really good stuff. Fights off the flu. You can even wet it down with a rag, and during flu season, wipe your counters down. It'll kill. What's awesome about it is it only kills stuff that it's intelligent. It knows it's not supposed to be there, so it doesn't kill everything, just the bad stuff.
Very interesting. And, we're talking about distillation and everything going on out there as well. So, it's an amazing antibacterial or antiparasitic thing. And we've chugged it, and we're not blue. We did not turn blue.
No, we're not blue, guys. We're okay.
Most definitely. And so Tammy's talking about banning guns, and we know what's going on in Virginia. They're losing the Second Amendment out there. And in the western states, Washington and Oregon, California, the V word, VAC, you know where I'm going? You kind of end up getting a shot. They're making it so, for one, you can't go to school if you don't get your shots. Not only that, but they're actually putting parents in jail, and they're taking kids away from people and putting these kids in foster care. Yeah. And so I'm a liberal when it comes to, I think everybody should be able to live the way they want. I don't care if somebody's gay. That's whatever they do is their business. It's not my business. I don't care. But I don't think there should be big government. And I think government should be as tiny as possible, if there is any government at all. I think we need to have our own liberties, and we need to be able to do our own pursuit of happiness. If it's wearing a pink tutu and running around with a butterfly, then good for you.
Yeah, it would be so cute too.
I would not do that, but I'm just saying, anybody that wants to do that, it's fine. I don't care what you do. It's just don't infringe on other people's rights.
Exactly. Just don't do it. And keep your own side of the street clean. That's sort of what it breaks down to, is don't worry about other people's stuff. Just take care of you, and everything's going to work out.
Most definitely. And, it's like I did a test before, because I really didn't know what my political philosophy was. And so I did this test, and that's when I realized I was a libertarian, basically, because I think people should be able to do whatever they want socially. If a guy wants to put a dress on in his own house, whatever, go for it. don't impose your will on others, though. Never, and don't necessarily flaunt things either. Kind of be conservative in that sense. Physically, I'm extremely conservative and most definitely extremely paranoid of Big Brother because absolute power totally corrupts absolutely. And how many times have we seen these people go off the deep end in history with, their egos and then lead us to war after war after war?
Chris P saying kits. I think
kilts. Yes. Kilts. Yeah, you can wear a kilt, Chris. It's good. No big deal.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I love it. That'd be fabulous.
Yeah, I mean, I've had very good friends that are kind of every which way, and don't ask, don't tell. It's no big deal. It really is no big deal. Just. I think our whole sense of values and morals is so screwed up. We think it's honorable to go off and kill others that are innocent as well. And, somehow love of any sort can be wrong. I don't think so. I think if there's love, there's love. It's just, it is what it is. And I don't think there's any justification for going and, asserting power and dominion over others and enforcing will on others, especially when it's for these corporations.
No, there's not. There's no justification for any of that.
Oh boy. Strange Days is wearing a thong right now. Hang on, guys.
Oh no. Just kidding.
And Nuclear Quantum Lasers is pewing naked.
Oh my.
We're going to get censored now.
Yeah, well, we already are.
But, all kidding aside, what's going on is a major, major escalation. It is a major escalation, and hopefully this will die down a bit. And hopefully it won't lead straight away to another reprisal or anything more. Give us a little bit more time and let cooler heads prevail, and also let the will of the public prevail. We got to get enough people saying, oh, hell no, we're not going into another war. Don't be pulled into this BS about having to fear Iran. Do you really think Iran is going to take on the U.S.?
Right, I know. It's a little bit ridiculous. Oh, gosh. You guys, you're going to be... Oh, he's looking up something else, so you're just stuck with me now. I thought he was going to leave the room and it was going to get crazy in here, but he's not. He's just typing in something here. So everything's going to be okay. No problems. But he just got an idea in his head, so we all get to see what goes on in Michael's head, which is really quite interesting. It's quite fun.
And honestly, I know numbers already in my head. Because this is somebody that memorized an almanac when he was 8 years old. That was like 700 pages. This is somebody that's copied the book of Elijah. And I mean, I've written by hand, most of the Old Testament. And that's why I really don't think of it in the way that most people do anymore. Because I tend to get fanatical with things and to really go into absolute details.
Yeah, but I love it. To me, he's like the one taking out the bully on the block, and which is absolutely wonderful because I've been hurt by people who are, fundamentalists, or they use religion for their own weird purposes and they end up hurting people. So whenever I hear him go after it, I'm like, yay.
So the military budget of the U.S. is 100 times that of Iran, 100 times. And you see the population of Iran was 83,000 over here, 329,000 over here for the U.S. And if you look at active personnel, 523,000 for Iran, 1.2 million for the U.S. And then you have another 860,000 reserves. So, more than 2 to 1 as far as total military personnel. It doesn't even matter. That doesn't matter at all. This is where it matters. It's all about air dominance right now in this day and age. 13,398 aircraft to 509. And then when you start talking the quality, look at the fighters and interceptors, and we're not even really getting into drones. The U.S. would absolutely own Iran. There is no comparison. However, I don't know if China and Russia would sit still for this.
You know, sweetie, I don't know. And that's where you come in, because you are such a whiz with all of this stuff. You're so well read. And you know what's interesting about you in your chart is like ancient knowledge comes really easy for you. I love to parallel things with people's charts. It's a lot of fun. You know, who wouldn't want to know? Like, well, it's self-realization, which is a whole lot of fun. And what do we have here?
Just basically, you know, there's been so much going on, and it's obvious. Like here you see, this was just 2 hours ago. Russia getting close to China, one joint military exercise at a time. And here they're saying India must worry. India is interesting. You know, it will be, in 2050, the most powerful country in the world will probably be India. And that will probably blow everybody's mind. But India will probably be the most powerful country in the world 20, 30 years in about that, because their population is growing, they're getting modernized. China's one-child policy has basically cut into it, and you know, their regime is so oppressive that I would not be surprised if they have their own revolution going at some point either, with their social credit scores and the way they clamp down on everything. Interesting stuff. Hypersonic missiles are a game changer. Yeah. You know, and then there's the prophecies of Babylon burning. All our, you know, fundamentalist Christian friends will jump on in a second. But you know what? Again, they tell us everything they're going to do, and it's way out ahead of time. And you know, they already give us, you know, they give us the chapters to the book, and then we have to just open up the pages as things happen and read the details. But we get the headlines. We know what the chapters are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do. You know, we understand all of that. And this is a new chapter in another book. And I'm really curious to see how this unfolds over the next few days.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, it's fascinating, but we are getting very close. I would not be surprised if conflict started in this year, major conflict. I think that the world will be a totally different place come 2025. I really do think that everything will be very changed. Strange Days says, I love Chinese food. I love Thai better, though. And Vietnamese, it's really good, too. If you haven't had Vietnamese food, it's great.
Yeah, you know, but it's in the air. It's in the frequency is to break down certain things, and, you know, not just like a warring frequency. Well, yeah, it is a warring frequency that's hitting us, and it's also going to cause like social stuff to break down, and, you know, your own personal demons, you're going to have to pull out and take a good look at them. All of this is going to be very important in the next year or so.
It is, most definitely. Yeah, it's so important for the citizens of the world to just say no. That's the main bottom line, is it's just the citizens saying no. And that's what it's going to take. And, you know, there were some comments about laying down lives for the republic. You know, this is a corporate republic now. This is not what it was meant to be. But at the same time, you know, if we get invaded, then you know what? We're going to be on the front lines, and we're going to have to defend ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we don't want to be stuck with nothing. So we really have to be careful and make sure we don't lose our rights in that aspect.
Yeah, and Tammy's right. You know, it is being destroyed from the inside, without doubt. But I think that's part of the bigger plan.
It is. You know, it's a very systematic thing that they've done to us, from our schools, you know, all the way up into the work environment. They've set our social structure up so that we will benefit, or no, they will benefit no matter what happens because of our social training.
Most definitely. So, Clint Eastwood says, are we stocking up on food? We aren't personally. Actually, we were really well stocked for a while, and we're using a lot of it. But we're going to be living out of a 150 square foot camper, so we're not going to have a lot of place to stock stuff. But at the same time, I'm not afraid, because I know we're supposed to get on the road. We're supposed to meet some people, and there's going to be direction that comes from things. And honestly, there's invites from a few different friends for us to stay at, even indefinitely if the crap hit the fan, in different parts across the country. And then even out of the country, there's some ideas as well cooking.
Yeah, and we can throw, 100-pound bag of rice in the back of the truck.
Yeah, I mean, we're already good for, eating a 6-hour window most of the time. We only ate once today at like noon, which was an early time for us. But, we're just used to not eating a ton, so it's good. And it's interesting, too, because our weight stays about the same, and we work out all the time.
It is interesting how your body will adjust.
Yeah, today was a light day. We went for about a 2.5-mile hike up some mountains, and then we came back and just did some a little bit of MMA training, some kicks, things like that. It was a light day. Yesterday we did all upper body and did a lot more working out, but we exercise every day, and we don't eat a lot, and yet we still stay fine. I think. I think we've been conditioned to eat more than we have to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they've conditioned us to eat 6 little meals a day. Could you imagine eating 6 times a day now? I can't.
No, not at all. Not at all. But it's a good idea to be prepared. So thank you guys for joining us so much. And, we'll be back on top of everything tomorrow. As always, be prepared. Have a plan. Recognize things might be going to another level. No fear, but just take your preparations to a little bit higher level.
No fear, you guys. Just prepare a little bit and love yourselves, love each other.
And again, thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon as well, so we could keep going with this.
God bless and namaste.
Namaste.